Beginning with the end in mind, let's take a moment and get started making this really cool mask relief. Let's begin by drawing out the mask. When you begin your mask, go ahead and decide what kind of overall shape that you want your mask to have. And once you design the overall shape, then move into making the features of the mask. What kind of eyes do you want your mask to have? What kind of headdress or shapes and designs do you want to add into making your mask? You'll notice in my mask design, I'm trying to come up with shapes that are layered. Some of my shapes are not layered. Some of them are just rectangles. Some of them are just circles. Some of them are just diamonds. But I also have some shapes that are layered. Now let's take a moment, and those shapes that I've designed and created, I will draw them again off to the side. So from the top, the head piece, I'm going to need to make another triangle with a smaller triangle inside. Then I have two diamond shapes, so I'm drawing that off to the side. You'll see why I'm doing this in just a moment. Now, I'll go ahead and do this for every single shape. You'll notice I'm keeping my finger and trying to gauge my way down so that I don't leave any shapes out. I notice my eyes have 3 layers. The back layer, the middle layer that I'm working on right now, and then lastly the small or the pupil area that I'd like to add into this project too. So now I'm going to go ahead and label them so I remember where everything is at. Moving into the nose, I've got a nice big triangle shape with a smaller triangle inside. The cheeks have some designs where they're rectangles coming off and giving it a little bit more interest. And lastly, the mouth, an overall shape with a rectangle inside. Now that I have my mask plan and all the shapes off to the side, now it's time to cut and assemble them all together. So I'm just going to go ahead and start out in one section. Tip: don't cut out every little detail all at once. If you cut out all your shapes and then you have to put it together like a puzzle, it's easy to lose your shapes and it's easy to get confused which shape goes where. So I'm beginning with one shape at a time. I begin with my nose, the bigger shape glued on first, smaller shape on top. For my mouth, bigger shape down below, smaller shape on top. My cheeks are just some rectangles. I'm just going to set those inside as well. So it is kind of like a puzzle in the fact that I've got my shapes on one side and now I'm cutting them out and layering my shapes to create a relief for my mask. You will see why I do this in the next couple of steps when I start to put on the aluminum foil. There, I'm going to go ahead and continue working on my eyes. Biggest shape first, then middle shape, and then smallest shape. Now that we have the overall idea, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video to continue working on the rest of my shapes. Okay, now that I'm working on my last couple of shapes onto my mask, my last step is to go ahead and cut out the overall mask shape away from the background piece of tag board. Once I have my overall mask shape completed and done, I'm going to set that aside, grab my next set of supplies, and continue into the next step. For our next step, grab a painting mat, some watered down glue, and a paintbrush. You're going to apply the watered down glue onto the tag board. This is going to ensure that the aluminum foil will stick to all of the pieces that you've just created to making your mask. Because you've layered your shapes, the shapes can be seen through the aluminum. I will gently place the aluminum foil over top of the shapes. Please be careful. Aluminum foil will rip easily. So gently put your aluminum foil to let your shapes be seen. I'm going to flip it over now And with all of that leftover extra aluminum foil, I want to create a nice fold so that you can see my mask without a lot of leftover. Placing my glue bottle to the back side, I'm just going to go ahead and take my aluminum foil now and crease that over to ensure a good fit for the aluminum foil onto the tag board. Any leftover pieces of aluminum foil, I will just trim off with a pair of scissors. Okay, so now that I have my mask completed, let's go ahead and move into our next step. Painting it black. Grab a painting mat again and place your mask on top of your painting mat. Go ahead and paint the entire mask black with your paint. This is going to allow the project to have some contrast between the dull black paint and the shiny aluminum foil that will be seen once we let it dry and take our steel wool to make those shapes all reappear and really make them stand out. This does a really nice job of making my aluminum foil and my materials of tag board and paint and making it look like metal. So let's get our steel wool. After your project is dry and all of your paint is matted or dried completely, go ahead and take a piece of steel wool to take off or scratch away some of that black paint. See the difference? All of those shapes are really starting to come alive because you're able to see those shapes through the black paint with all of that contrast between the shiny aluminum foil and that dull matte black paint behind it. I love the way this looks. It really does start to look like I used this project all out of metals. Lastly, let's go ahead and take a moment and put this whole thing together. I either stapled or glued down onto my project for my background. I'm using some oil pastels to create my own creative touch into this project. Oil pastels might make it a pretty cool design in the background, and now I'm grabbing some feathers or just some additional materials that will make this project really stand out and give it more of a cultural feel. There, now that I have them placed where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and glue them down to ensure they have a nice, good fit. Thanks for watching. Happy art making. I hope you enjoy this project as much as I did. I think it looks really cool. Have a great day.